Welcome to the enLIGHTenUP podcast. I am your host, Nicole Frolick, and I invite you to cozy up with me each week as I explore all aspects of the spiritual journey, spiritual biohacking, and expanding the mind beyond this reality. Remember that the collective awakening can start by planting one seed, so thanks for being such an amazing audience and sharing these shows with your family and friends. So without further ado, let's jump right into the episode and find out what we're discovering today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the enLIGHTenUP podcast. This evening, I am joined by a new guest, Yuvonda Wells, who's using ministry and Reiki to provide a spiritually supportive environment, facilitating the journey of balance and harmony of the mind, body, and spirit of every soul, endeavoring to achieve their highest potential. Yuvonda came across my path basically the night, we were in a similar Telegram chat group, but she came across my path the night I bilocated. Her and I connected, and she's helped me understand a few things. And speaking of Telegram, guys, if you're on Telegram, please join the HATS channel. The link is in the description below. I've been partnering with HATS, and they're the biggest and fastest growing international community of truth seekers. So please go check them out if you're looking for a community of people that are like-minded like you. But Yuvonda, I'm so happy you're here. We've got so much to talk about tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. And it's an honor to be on. I appreciate it.
Well, it's an honor to have you here, and we're going to get into some very interesting topics. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, guys. You do not want to stick around for the whole show, because Yuvonda has such beautiful energy. She's so powerful, and she actually did a Reiki session on me yesterday, so I got to experience her gifts, which are phenomenal. And I know a couple of you in the audience have experienced her gifts, and you said the same thing. So we're going to get into a lot of topics, but before we kind of jump into some of the really good stuff, let's talk about Reiki first. And how did you get started with Reiki? Was Reiki something you always worked with, or how did you come across it?
Okay, so no, I had no clue what Reiki was. After my first death, I saw a symbol. I saw lots of symbols.
Okay, hold on a second. Your first death.
Yes.
So how many deaths have you experienced then?
Confirmed by medical professionals, 18.
18 near-death experiences.
No.
Or no, they would be death. They would be absolute death. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So one of them, the hospital called my daughter and wanted to know what funeral home they should call to pick me up. About a half an hour later, my daughter had arranged, for a funeral home to come pick me up. And they call her back saying that there must have been a mistake because I was alive. So,
yeah. Okay, your poor daughter, if you've died 18 times, how is she handling that?
It didn't go so well. She went into early labor. She was pregnant with my youngest granddaughter. It was rough. Yeah. She's been through the mill.
Okay, hold on. Okay, since we've just opened this door, we're going to get into the Reiki, but since we got to talk about this for a second.
Okay.
Why do you think you've died 18 times?
Okay, so I believe everyone has their own beliefs, but my knowing is that I came in with an agreement to certain things, to experience certain things. I agreed to 3 deaths, and I knew what they were going to be. The 15 others were malicious.
Okay. The 3 that you signed up for.
Yes.
That you knew. What were the circumstances that you were dying under?
Auto accident, procedure resulting from the auto accident, and then my final death to leave this plane.
Okay. So The malicious ones, can you
Yes.
speak about what kind of methods they were using then?
So people get used by nefarious beings to do things. So let's see, drowning, um, poisoning, overdosing. Um, I had a broken heart and had a hole in my heart, which it resulted from the auto accident in '94. And it had healed. I was back to running half marathons, doing great. And I had an emotional heartbreak and I felt my heart tear. Um, and
So,
so,
are you saying that that was worked, that there were beings working, say, through your partner to drive the
yes,
relationship? Okay.
yes, yes. Um, yes, because it was rather twisted, but we won't go into that.
Yep. 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 No, that's fine.
Yeah. So the I went to the doctor and I explained, and he told me, passed it off, saying, it's emotional heartbreak.
Hold. Oh, one
And
second. Is someone? Are you guys hearing a high pitched sound? Because I'm not. Um, they're saying that they hear a high pitched sound, but I'm not
um,
hearing it on my end coming through. So.
it's probably my frequency.
Yeah, guys, just so you know, if you can bear with us, the energy when high frequency people start getting together, it can really screw up a lot of the different technologies. Yuvonda and I almost like have had our calls drop, things happen where we just can't even call each other anymore. Text won't go through. So just so you know, so if you can bear with us, if the pitch isn't too bad, if it's just faint, then we're okay. It's not that bad. Okay, good. All right. Okay, perfect. Um, okay, well, you guys are just tuning into some high frequencies. All right. Know that they have good vibes behind them. So, okay. So, what were we just talking about there?
Okay, to get it really short, I was having blood clots from the tear in my heart, and it was going to my brain. It took 7 trips because I was so um, um, unique in the symptoms. Um, it took 7 trips to the ER to finally diagnose me as having strokes. At that point, I had 25% brain death. Necrosis had set in. Um, by the end of it, I had documented that actually happened in the presence of medical professionals. 5 ischemic strokes, 2 hemorrhagic, and over 300 transient ischemic strokes or mini strokes. And then I couldn't take the medication. I was extremely healthy. My body was healthy. I didn't have built up cholesterol, didn't have high blood pressure, super healthy. So they decided, and medication made me very ill. The only thing they could do would be plug my right atrial appendage to stop the clots from going to my brain. I could still have clots, but it would probably hit my lung. I can live without a lung. After so many strokes, I'm fine. Do it, whatever. Yeah, so the surgery was botched. I also went in with a do not resuscitate, and it was supposed to be a very simple procedure. Hour and a half, hour 45 minutes tops. 5 hours later, and I died 3 times on the table. And I was very angry because I knew they were doing it wrong. I was anesthetized, and I wasn't supposed to be able to feel anything. The only thing it did was paralyze me. So I felt everything, every single thing. And it was torture. So I was angry at the doctor because I also did not want a blood transfusion. They cut 2 arteries. I bled out. Yeah, 3 deaths. But before he cut the first artery, in my mind, I thought I kicked him really hard because I wanted to stop the procedure. And I told them in the beginning something wasn't right. So we were going to call it off. and they knocked me out to where I couldn't do anything. And I'm laying there and they're still going on, even though I said no. So, so I thought I kicked him. And I remember, because I got my leg loose, and I don't know how that happened. And then I got an arm loose, and I'm pulling the stuff out of my mouth. I'm yanking IVs out, and I roll off the table, and I can't move. I can't go anywhere. I'm on my hands and knees. I'm slipping in my own blood. That's how much blood had came out. And I remember thinking I didn't fight hard enough to get away, because I knew they were going to, you know how you know something's going to happen, and I knew they were going to kill me. And next thing I know, something hit my shoulder and I went out. And then I wake up and still back to, I could feel everything. And they cut another artery. And even though my eyes were taped, I could still see through. And I just saw it just trickle down to nothing. I was like, oh, here I go again. Because after you die so many times, you know what it feels like. So told myself, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back. I don't care what they say. They can't make me. I'm not coming back. It's not coming back. This is the only time I agreed to come back. So, yeah.
Oh my, I'm speechless. I mean, guys in the audience. I mean, it's not often that I am speechless, so this is a new thing. Okay, how did you get through that? So your team, you must have a very strong protective team around you, like guides.
Yeah.
How did they maneuver to get you out of that situation, or to make it so that they didn't continue to do more damage?
They must have guided the medical team. I found out later, but I had within a year, the CT scans and the MRIs, I think it was over 130 within a 13-month period. So I developed leukemia from that. So the oncologist, hematologist, I was so angry. It was a punch in the gut, because I thought I just wasn't absorbing B12. It's very common. And I thought I had all the symptoms of major trauma, as far as my blood work. And they said no, and showed me the test and so on and so forth. So, and I told him what happened. And because they wanted to do a bone marrow transplant right away. I mean, it was just, terrible, according to them. And so I explained the situation. And he's like, well, come back next week and we're going to talk about it. I'm going to actually look at your records. I was like, wait, you didn't look at my records? He's like, don't have to. He said, but now I do. So I went back. My blood work, it was 2 weeks. I went back after 2 weeks. In the meantime, I decided, my guide told me to eat dandelions. And that's exactly what I did. And I don't like them at all. My blood work was perfect. So he said he did review my medical records. And I told him how many times, I had died.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's like, you're right. Look at this. And he thinks there were more, but
Confirmed 18.
Yeah, 18 is absolutely confirmed. So I also told him, and he's like, why are you still angry? And I told him, I said, because I didn't fight hard enough to stop that surgery. And he started laughing. So he talked to his friends, because all the doctors know each other, right? Or they have people that know people. And he said he talked with several that were there during the surgery. And I actually did fight. And I really did physically harm the head surgeon, that he had to get medically treated. And I hit his hip, so they wouldn't tell me what it was. And it took 8 people to subdue me and 2 people to inject me to knock me out. So I did fight. So I was happy about that.
Girl, I want you in my back corner.
So yeah. So anyway, it's all good. I'm good now.
Wow. Okay, so did you get any insight that you're able to share that as to your purpose and your mission here to the level that you would be attacked so much maliciously? I mean, this is absolutely extraordinary. This is not something that I mean, I've never heard of it before. So, do you have any insight to understand that?
Yes, back to the Reiki. The symbols that were shown to me, some of them um, belong to the Reiki practice. And I saw a flyer in a Minute Mart. And this was back in the days when, they'd run off a copy of their advertisement and put phone numbers at the bottom and cut with scissors. And you just take the phone number. I took the whole thing. I go right to the library trying to find out what it is because there was a symbol on that flyer. It was a Chokure symbol, which if you go with the old school, they were not supposed to put that symbol on the flyer. It's not to be advertised like that because it's a sacred symbol. I couldn't find anything in the library about it. This was back before internet. You could find everything on it. So I decided to take the course. And I take the course. I was like, I know this. I know this. I've seen this. I know this. This is great. And I got attuned to level 1. And my teacher's like, we're going 2. I was like, okay. Nope, we're going 3. Okay. So I did it all in one day. And yeah, so she helped me a lot, to understand what it was. And she says, Yuvonda, I'm sorry, I can't teach you anymore. I can't teach you anything. You know how to do it. Okay. I don't know why she did that. I had to learn a lot on my own, the interactions and things like that. So I also started studying medical Qigong. That helped a lot too with the Reiki. But so one of the reasons that I'm here is to share my light. I was told that it would be very, very healing and very powerful.
I can attest to that.
And so my role is to help others heal so they may awaken, because we need every single person. And it's a painful process. I don't care how easy your life has been dealing with genetically or your inherited traumas, plus just the traumas of being in this 3D world. It's not easy to deal with.
Mm-mm.
So my role as a Reiki practitioner is to help people to release the traumas and the pains and to help them heal themselves. So the better they feel, the more easily it is to love yourself. Because I believe if you love thyself, everything else follows and it flows. And yeah, so.
Yeah, and that's like one of your biggest, I guess, missions is to help others understand the importance of loving thyself.
Yes.
And it does really shift so much. It shifts the way you perceive yourself, but also in the way you perceive, obviously then the way you perceive the world, because you perceive the world through your own lens of really how you see yourself.
Yes.
And when you love yourself, there's just so many things that you won't do that a wounded person would do. And you have a higher potential of understanding the benefit of the frequencies that we're trying to deal with here. In a sense of bringing in the higher frequencies, grounding the higher frequencies so that we can help the Mother Earth ascend as she is, like going with her. Wow. Okay. So guys, I can totally attest to Yuvonda's Reiki. I don't even want to call them skills. Like skills just seems like a very normal word to use to describe what you do, especially after listening to your death experiences that you just described to us. You're extremely powerful. And I guess, let's talk about how the importance of self-healing and removing the blocks energetically so that we can reach these love frequencies. Before we get into some of the other stuff, how did it shift things for you, and how have you noticed it shift things for your clients when you're working with this energy of healing?
Okay, so a lot of it is programming. So we have to reprogram ourselves. Well, how do we reprogram ourselves if we don't feel good? So whenever there's trauma, whether it's a physical trauma, emotional trauma, disappointments, any kind of feelings that are below the level of unconditional love, they leave imprints in the body, which affect the chakras. And so the chakras are 7 main energy centers in the physical body. There's over 230 in the physical body, plus lots more up above and below and on the sides, that we can't necessarily see, but we can feel once we become sensitive to that. So whenever there's any type of trauma, it affects the chakra. And if you let's just say you smash your fingers, it's just an accident, but you smashed your fingers because you were in a bad mood, whatever reason. The hand, if you don't give it love, raise the frequency of that, even though it will physically heal, it could still hold that lower frequency because it was traumatized. So then arthritis will set up, or you'll have rashes, that kind of thing. But because the hands also affect the throat, it could affect your oral health, because if you smash this, it's going to affect your throat chakra. It's just how it is. So if the throat chakra is not balanced, first of all, you will no longer be speaking your truth. You can have oral health problems, sinus problems, ear problems, thyroid problems, shoulder pain issues, all the way down to your hands. So just having one chakra out of balance, it can affect the third eye. It can affect the heart. So one little incident that's just, not out of malice or anything like that, can cause that type of disruption. So with the Reiki, I get the chakras as balanced as possible. So when they're balanced, that means they're open and they're flowing. And you release the traumas, you release the thought processing, the patterned thought processing that came along with the injury, that you felt bad and you were angry and it just snowballed. And then your heart got affected, and then you can't see anymore with your third eye and things like that. That's just an example.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, it's amazing because I don't think we realize how something so small can have a domino effect into the rest of our body.
Right. So so being angry at yourself for slamming your hand in the door doesn't help, because the hand actually needs love. It needs that love. The hand did nothing wrong. It was, you were frustrated and aggravated and the hand got it. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah. See, okay, so this is interesting, guys, because yesterday when I had my Reiki session, she was able to pick up on the injury on my right hand. And she's like, oh, something happened on the back of your hand. And it was from when I had my rollerblading accident, which some of you may remember because my hand was really torn up. And this part is the only part that hasn't healed. I don't know if you guys can really see it, but there's just a minor little scar there. And I remember that I didn't really do anything to my hand because it was a little bit tender and sensitive, but I also like scraped up my right knee, but I was constantly putting like certain ointments on it and rubbing it. And I've been massaging it to get the stagnant blood out of it, for the bruising, and it's healing really well. And you never picked up on that. And I was like, oh, I probably need to give my right hand some love. Yeah. So she picked up on that. She picked up on things that were so specific. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. It wasn't just random stuff that you might get right. Like, it was very specific stuff that you picked up on. So you've worked with Reiki, you've opened up, and you've been working with these frequencies and healing. With you tuning into these higher frequencies, the veil has become extremely thin for you. Extremely thin.
Yes.
So let's get into some of the reptilian encounters that you've had as a result
Excuse me.
of being so high vibe. Because guys, you're not gonna believe this. These stories, they're awesome, and we'll get into the pictures after. But tell us about the reptilian encounter that you actually saw physically with your own eyes.
Okay. So I like to hike and walk. Um, and I like this particular wetland because it's wet. And when I am near water, the frequencies just rise. I can connect. And it's just, it's a miracle. It's,
Oh, I'm
yeah,
the same way. Yeah, I'm the same way.
yes. So, and also I'm very familiar with, it's a wooded area and then it's open, basically swampland. And there's a boardwalk on it. But I also know the trees, and I'm friends with the trees and the plants and the animals, and they actually will tell you things, that they communicate. And so I walked in, it was like I instantly knew something was different. And it's like, doesn't matter, I'm going anyway, because I'm very stubborn. I'm working on it.
Girl, you died 18 times. I don't see how a reptilian could scare you.
So as I kept walking, I started smelling. Reptilians have a very distinct smell. Very distinct. It's sulfur, acidic, urine, and feces, and it just kept getting stronger. And I was like, you know what? There's no reptilian, but well, there's a portal there too, and I know they come in and out of it. But I was like, yeah, I'm walking here. This I've got a right to be here. I'm not leaving. So I just kept walking, and I wasn't scared. I was just determined. And so I'm on a boardwalk, and I was like, whoa. He was a reptilian, and he wasn't that tall. He was maybe 14 feet, something like that. But he had on his shoulder like a canvas bag, and he had bent over, and he was standing in the water and bent over and was pulling something out of the marsh, the swampy water. And I don't know what he was getting, from the swamp, but he was putting it in his bag. And I was like, whoa, you stay right there. Don't you move. Don't you go anywhere. And I'm trying to get my phone out so I can get the camera going. And he started cloaking. I was like, you better stop. I was like, no one's going to believe this. I'm taking it anyway. So I took a few pictures, and by then he had cloaked, and he looks like when heat rises off of very hot asphalt, it's a very wavy pattern. So the only thing I got, I couldn't get picture of him, and he was kind of a grayish brown color, but his head wasn't short, it was long. I've seen the ones with the smushed type faces. This one had a longer. So I met someone that I live really close to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and I was telling him, I was like, I think he came from the base, and I think he was a researcher. And he's like, there's some there. I was like, okay. So
Yeah, there's reptilians. Don't
yeah,
mind them in the marsh.
yeah.
Go along your hike.
But there's lots of tunnels in the area too. So it could have popped out of one of those. I don't know, but I was never afraid. And then I went to walk away, and I was like, you stay there, and I'm leaving, and you're staying there. Like I left.
So for everyone in the audience, Yuvonda showed me the pictures, and she has you sent me two. One with the actual circle around the area where he had cloaked, and then I guess the original photo without you marking it. And I have to say, when I looked at the one with the marking, I only looked at that one thinking, oh, if I'm that's where I'm going to see it, and I couldn't see anything. I was like, I just see like the marsh. But then I went and looked at the original photo, and I saw it. I saw the vapors. I saw the vapors, and you could almost see the shape through the vapors. Like it was almost like you could see the shape of the reptilian in the vapors. It's
So even though he cloaked, I could still see its eyes. His eyes were very apparent to me. It's just the camera didn't pick it up.
What were the color of his eyes?
Like brown
Okay.
gray. Yeah. brown gray color.
Okay. So that was one of your reptilian encounters.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. First, before we go on to the next one, because that one's really interesting. How many? Okay, first, how many reptilian encounters have you had? Because I mean, we're talking about death experience. That's 18. How many reptilian encounters have you had?
Um, physically, in the physical too,
Okay,
you know.
but seeing them just energetically or through your mind's eye.
Yes. I don't know how many, so many, lots.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
Have they been, I guess, more in your awareness because were they part of the malicious attacks?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the one in the swamp wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But with the reptilians, yes. So I met the tall white one in person.
Yeah, tell us about the tall white one because that's a scary one.
Yes. I've heard people say that I'll kneel before no one but God. Okay. So my teacher at the time, I told him what happened, and he basically told me the same thing. He's like, you were too weak. I've talked to others that have had not with the white one, but with other ones of less power. And I was like, when they do that, you're down. You have no control, zero control. You cannot do anything physically unless they allow it. There's I didn't willfully do it. It was just I was forced. And so what I did was I took a deep breath and
Okay,
I
wait. So
told.
say how the reptilian encounter has started. Like, how did you know the tall white was there?
He came into my home.
Like through the front door.
No, it was just there. It was just there. Uh, yeah.
So like, were you just in your like, were you just walking through another room and it's just standing there?
I was in the bathroom in my bedroom, and I walk out of the bathroom into the bedroom, his master bedroom, and he was standing there. It's just standing there. And I was like, oh, and he just went like this, and down I went on my knees. I could not raise my head up. I could not get up. I could not move my hands, my fingers, my toes. I could blink, and that was it. So I didn't know what else to do except I took every part of me and I went into my heart and I tried to feel love as much as I could. Nothing was happening and nothing was happening. It was like when my daughter was born, this is what I felt, you know? And so that's what I kept focusing on until I could feel it growing and growing and growing. And he was telling me things, and I just kept, I just kept growing the love and the love.
What sort of things was he telling you?
Telling me how they were going to kill me eventually, and that I wasn't worth anything, um, that my value is nothing, and he could take me out at any time, basically. But it's telepathy. He didn't actually speak.
Yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
and oh, really bad headache, really bad headache. It felt like my head was going to explode, but it didn't. Um, so whenever I knew that the love that I could recognize for my daughter, because it's really hard to think when they're present, because they are terrifying. They're terrifying. I could feel it growing out and growing out and getting bigger and bigger. And the whole time I'm trying to call in my divine team, and he knew it, and he would stop those thoughts, but he could not stop the love that I had inside for my child. He could not stop it. And I recognized it, and that's why I kept growing the love, feeling it and making it expand. And then by the time it got just right outside my body, he left. So, yeah.
So at that point, you're like, wow, I got rid of him.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I was still there, and it took a while for me to get up off the floor. So I had another with a mantis.
Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on.
Oh,
Before we go over to the mantis,
okay.
if I remember correctly, you told me this is when a lion being showed up as
Yes.
well, like with the
Yes.
reptilian. So this during this reptilian encounter, so you've got your love vibration, your frequency outside of your body now, and that's when he left. And
Yes.
then what did you also notice with the with
Um,
the lion being?
if there was a lion being there, I didn't see it.
Oh,
I didn't see.
I thought you said there
No.
was a lion being there.
With the mantis, I recognized it. So,
Oh, okay.
excuse
I
me.
got the
But
stories all mixed up. There's so many good
okay.
stories here,
No.
Yuvonda.
Um,
Is
they
everyone like sitting around a fire like right now?
um I'm sure that they were there. It's just I couldn't recognize. It was all I could do to breathe. It was
Okay,
all I
so
could do.
you
And
legitimately got rid of the reptilian through the love that you were holding inside of you.
well, I don't think that made him leave, but I think that's what protected me
Got you.
because he started coming toward me and I was like, I'm dead. I just knew it. Um, it was like, okay, focus, 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 focus. And he knew I was doing it. And he was trying to like literally stop my thoughts. But I went inside my heart and then he couldn't do anything about that. And while I was inside my heart, I'm trying to call in my divine team. And those thoughts were stopped. I couldn't do it, but I could keep feeling the love that I have for my daughter
Okay.
that he couldn't stop.
Are you guys all taking notes in the audience? Do you guys know now how to like protect yourself from reptilians? This is like the sauce right here. This is the magic sauce. Okay, so all right, let's go to the mantis story then. Tell me about the mantis story because I
Okay,
must
so
have mixed that one up.
yeah, so I had moved. I was in an apartment and there's woods in the back. So I'm always out there and thought I heard something. I was like, whatever. It just didn't feel so good. So I went inside. So I'm standing there. It's hot. It's summer. And this very tall mantis. It was a weird green. It was a mantis. Walked through my glass doors, sliding glass doors. So I thought, I'm tough. I can do this.
So basically walk
So,
through the glass doors as if
yep,
it was just energy.
yep. Like they weren't even there. Just walked right through it. And that was a second encounter, but this is the one with the lion. So I commanded it, I stood in my power and I commanded it to leave. And it did. It just turned around and out the glass, just like it came in, but faster. And then it was gone. And I'm standing there and I'm just feeling just so proud of myself because I'm such a badass. And then it was like all of a sudden it was like, oh, I recognized the feeling, and I turned around, and it was my lion, the lion being that I've seen forever, and he was in the physical, absolutely. He wasn't in just energetic form; he was in the physical. And I went.
Like you could touch him.
I tried, but then he left. He was gone, and I was like, darn. So it was a combination of just being so happy that I saw him. I actually saw him in the physical. It wasn't just energetic. And then being really upset because I was just giving myself kudos because, I was thinking, I was badass. I can't. No, no. So, yeah. But the first time the first time I saw Mantis, I was lying in bed trying to go to sleep. It was just weird energy that night. And I felt myself dozing, and all of a sudden I felt this chill and the energy shift, and there was a mantis on top of me, not touching me, but straddled over top of me. And I could feel it, the energy coming in and out of it around my face and went to my ear, and it just like checked out my whole head and made this really weird noise, kind of insect type, but just I can't describe it, but it was really weird. And
Like a like a clicking almost like a
sort of, but it was real shrill, extremely shrill. So what I did with the reptilian, I just went inside my heart, and it was easier because I had been practicing just in case anything happened. And I commanded it to leave telepathy, with telepathy. And I went inside my heart and felt all the love for myself and just what love. But by then I could go to I love myself instead of having to find who do I love and find that love. So yeah, and he left, and I did not send love to the being because I don't want to energetically connect to them. So I sent love to myself. I went inside my heart and let the love come out because I know, because I messed up once. If you send love to them, that is an offer to come to you, to connect to you.
Oh, really?
So you don't do it with malice, send them away, or it doesn't. You love yourself. You take command of your heart. They can't touch that light in your heart. They can't touch it. They can do anything physically to you, but that love in your heart, they can't take your soul. I don't know if I explained that very
Oh
well.
yeah, no, you totally explained it. I think I mean, I don't think you could explain it any better. It's pretty simple. And wow, wow. So this, what did I just want to ask you? My gosh, this is just blowing my mind. So there's so many I think everyone in the audience is like, wow. Some people are like they're glued to the screen right now. And for all of you guys who are going to be listening later on Spotify and iTunes, yeah, maybe lie down while you're listening.
Well, okay. I don't want to upset anyone. I
No,
really
no,
don't.
no. I don't think anyone's
I just,
upset. No, I don't think
I want everyone to know that you can, quote unquote, fight negative beings, but not physically, not with words, not with connecting with them. It's with the love in your heart.
yeah.
You have to love yourself. You have to be in that love. They can't touch it.
Hence why your teaching self-love is so
Yes.
important for us to
Yes.
all be able to go in because it's our
Yes.
strongest protection measure as well. Here's a
Yes.
great question from Geert. He said, Yuvonda, did you decide on a soul level before this life to follow this path? I don't think these battles at unforeseen moments are for everyone, right? He says, I have a golden wall up and don't allow anyone in. So is this something that you agreed on at a soul level to?
Yes. Yes. My incarnations on earth have prepared me for this. I have gone from the most brutal warrior that did everything horrible to gradually learning to be a kind person. I truly believe you cannot know the light, truly know the light, unless you know the dark. And you have to accept them both. You have to literally merge them. Because unless you know the dark, you can't know the light.
I completely agree. I
So
completely agree.
I know everyone that I know, no one's perfect. I'm so flawed. I'm a poster child for being flawed, but it's because of those flaws that we know. And it doesn't matter what has happened. What matters is now and the choice you make right this moment. It doesn't matter what you did because it was lessons, no matter how horrific it was. Yes, you're going to have karma, and you have to accept it. And if you refuse to accept the karma, it's going to get worse. But that doesn't, just because someone's done something that's deemed bad or unforgivable, everything is forgivable. And point in case, all right, so now, very negative, malevolent beings, we're not talking about those. We're talking about humans, okay, that are here to learn soul lessons. If everyone can think of themselves as a perfect newborn baby that is perfect love, done nothing wrong, The original sin thing is based on genetics. What your family has, that's, if that helps you.
Mm-hmm.
But you, the person, the baby, the perfect baby, has done nothing wrong. You are still that baby that is perfect inside, no matter how you've been programmed, no matter what you've been lured into, no matter what decisions that you could see probably weren't in the best interest of anyone, you know. So you take your karma and you choose the light. You love yourself. That's choosing the light. Literally, it's that simple. It's not complicated. People want to make it so complicated. It is so simple. You just love yourself. Yeah, and that is a challenging process. But when you love yourself like that newborn child, that newborn baby that is perfect in every way, you realize that that is every person on this earth. That is your neighbor, the ones that have opposing political views, the ones that you deem unworthy, unworthy of society. They're still that perfect child.
I think that's beautiful. I think it's a great way to teach us where to go to, because I think many of us have held that newborn baby in our arms, or have seen, and just, even if you just see pictures of a newborn baby,
It's just like,
I know, it's so pure, it's so innocent, and to be able to know that that's all we need to do is to go back and to remind ourselves that's who we are, and to hold that love for self, is so important. And I agree. I think we as humans love to complicate everything. We want it to be so difficult, and we make it way harder than it needs to be. I think that's part of the programming, to be quite honest.
I do
Um,
too.
and and it's really the simple things. It's like what they say, like Occam's razor. Like, it's always the simplest solution, or the reason that's the right one. So, can you talk about the lion being a little bit before we kind of get into the lion being, guys? So something funny happened, or something interesting. I shouldn't say funny. Something interesting happened last night. So for those of you who are in the Starseed Technology Activation class with me last night, at the very end, when Kathy had put the white pyramid around us all, I had a lion being show up in my pyramid with me. And the lion being, I didn't tell you guys in the class this, but the lion being had a lot of rainbow colors in its, like, mane, I guess. Like, it was just, to me, it just had a lot of rainbow colors around it. And I had never seen it before. And I was like, oh, that's a lion being I never seen before. Cool. Well, I was telling Yuvonda, I was like, oh yeah, I just finished the Starseed class, and I was saying, yeah, a lion being showed up. And she then sent me, so this is who my lion being, she showed me a picture, and it had all these rainbow colors that you had, like an artwork, I guess, drawn of the lion being.
Mm-hmm.
And it had all these different colors in the light. And I'm like, that's the lion being that showed up. And so it was interesting that your lion being was checking out our Starseed class last night.
Yeah.
So tell me about the lion being that you, like the orb encounter you had.
Okay, so you have to understand that I have been on starcrafts before, multiple times, various reasons. So I'm outside, sitting on my patio, doing my meditation. I was doing self Reiki at the time, and the everything started to get wavy, and objects started turning. I could see them as electrical grids. It was like a computer animation, but it was electricity. I could see the energy flowing, and I started getting swimming. My chakras were just blasting, and I know the feeling. And I thought, I'm going to make it to the bed because I'm not ending up on the concrete, because I was on a patio. So I finally make it to bed and I lay down. And as soon as I laid down, it was like whoosh. I could feel myself being swept out of my body. I didn't astral travel by intention. I was just taken away. And so next thing I know, I'm in this sphere, this ball, and it's light, but it's organic, and the material, and I went to touch it, the sides, and it's like liquid energy, and it's alive. I alive liquid energy. That's just, yeah. So I'm in there, and I knew the pilots. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. What are you doing in this little, what is this thing? Why is it so little? And I'm looking around. Where is everybody? Where's all the equipment? Wait a minute. Why are you here? What am I doing? Oh my gosh, why can't I see the ground? I can see everything. And I'm looking all around, and I'm just chattering on. And then I hear, telepathy, be silent. That's like, okay. Uh, I'm so conscious. I felt like I was actually in my body, because I didn't feel like I was in the energy. So I don't really know what happened or how I was there, but so we go around in places that I know that I've been to, and I recognize them. I went to Xenia, and then a few other places near the Dayton, Ohio area. And then we went further out, and I was shown many things. But to sum it up, basically, I was shown that I was shown like a helix, a double helix that turned into a triple helix, and then 4, and then 5, until 12 strands were spinning together until they just all became one. It was incredible. And I was shown that this is a library, and this is why humans are so valued as currency, because not all, but many races want our genetics, because we have a library of information plus a spark in there that they do not possess, and that our genetics can literally save races. But it means taking our genetics. Some take it favorably, and some kill to do it.
Yeah. And I've been talking about that on my channel for maybe the last 6 months or a little longer, of how important it is for us to understand our body, our DNA. We think of it as just like, damn, this 3D skin suit, but there is such high technology in here that if we really truly build a beautiful relationship back up with our body, and know that the technology that is held within us, what we can do to activate it is, this is why we're on a prison planet, because of our DNA.
Yes.
And
our DNA is coveted.
Yes, and the Palladians told me also that not to worry. This message came through, I think, last fall, maybe in the summer. I can't remember. But they talked about how don't worry about the book burnings or all of that, because all of the information is held within you. You hold the library.
Yes. Because they could burn it to the ground, everything, destroy everything. It doesn't matter. We have the knowledge within us. We have all the data within us. And so the more we love ourselves, the more strands that will connect along with the higher frequencies. But if you don't love yourself, bottom line is you're not going to ascend. Your frequency is not going to go up. So you raise your frequency by just loving one part at a time, and appreciating, because
Yeah. And okay, so back to the ship. So you're on the ship, and you're being shown all these things. Like you're actually seeing Ohio. Like you're going over the state of Ohio where you lived, and then you were shown the library, the DNA helix, all that. Okay, what happened next?
I was taken someplace that was not familiar. Some of them were on Earth, and they were familiar. And I saw the pyramids. I saw Sedona. I saw a place. I know it was Brazil because it looked like it coming in. But I've never been to Brazil. I just know from a map kind of thing. And then the sky changes, and then I see a land that had a purple haze, like the atmosphere was purple, and it was very lush and beautiful. And there were crystal castles, and there were beings, people. They call it people. I don't know what kind of people. I didn't get that close. And it was just like, I felt so great. I was like, oh yeah, I knew crystal castles. I've seen them before. I knew there were crystal castles, and I was just really happy, and I was just rattling on and just going on like a chatterbox. And then I hear be silent again. Fine. So then I ask again, all right, so what am I doing? Where are we going? What are we doing? And I was told be silent and observe. So that's what I did. And then, I could see it was approaching where I lived. And then the next thing I know, I'm in bed and my phone is ringing. So it was a girlfriend of mine. And I was just all excited, and I told her what happened. She wasn't very nice about it. Basically told me I was crazy. What kind of drugs do you take? Wonder, are you drunk? You need to go take a nap. Well, I'll call you later. Click. And that was it. I was like, really? I'm not crazy. Click. So the phone went dead. So, and then right after that, my mom called. And so I told my mom. She was much kinder. She was very kind, very patient and understanding.
She's like,
I was like, Mom,
okay.
yeah. Yuvonda, you've had a unique life. Okay. Yep, I do believe you. If you believe it, I believe it. It's like, I love you, Mom. Okay, and that was about it. A few hours later, my girlfriend sent me a text and I went to read the text and then she calls. So I answer the call. She's like, did you see the text? Did you watch the video? I was like, well, you called me, so no. And she's like, you watch it and call me right back, and hung up. I was like, okay. So I checked the text and it was a link to, it was a WHIO news report where people had sent in pictures of this sphere of light that was going around all the areas I told them that I had been and I had seen. And so my girlfriend, she's like, Bonnie, you're really not crazy, are you? It's like, no. I said, well, I may be, but I'm not crazy about that. It really did happen. And I really went to those places. She's like, I know, because you told me. And so I sent it to my mom, and my mom's like, oh, wow, you really did. It really did happen. I was like, yes, it did. So I've looked. I had it bookmarked, saved on my computer. There were two TV stations that had it, and they're gone. So I don't know if they block it off after 2 years or what. And I didn't think anything about saving it, you know.
Oh, archiving it or anything like that.
Yeah, because oh well.
Yeah, you think, oh, it's
Yeah,
on the internet, it's there forever.
yeah, pretty much. Well, it's not. So, and then I know the pilot was the lion being. I know it. Um, I don't know how, but I just know it. It was the feeling because I recognized the energy. I recognized it, but I never saw the face. It was just a very large masculine pilot. That's all I know
Okay.
that I saw. Very kind. So a little while later, months later, sitting out on the patio, probably doing my Reiki because that's what I do. And so there's an evergreen tree, and I saw these sparkles, kind of rainbow, a lot of purples and blues, but a lot of gold and white. And I was like, something's going to appear. I can feel it. I can feel it. And so I get my camera out because I'm going to take pictures and they're going to show up. I didn't even get a chance to take pictures. And then all of a sudden it just kind of disappeared. I was getting really frustrated. I was like, oh, fine, whatever. And I turned around and there was this huge, well, it wasn't super tall. Apparently some lion beings are really tall. I don't know. He's 14, 15 feet. I don't know.
How
I
tall
know
are your
my,
ceilings?
well, I know that. So I'm almost, I'm 5'9" something.
Okay.
And the top of my head didn't even reach up to here on him. So
Oh my gosh. Oh
yeah.
wow. Okay.
So, and I was like, oh my gosh, there you are. You're real. And I went to touch him, and then he just embraced me. And it was divine. The closest feeling was how I felt when I died. That was just incredible. I felt so loved, so comforted, protected, and it was an unconditional love. And I don't know how long. It could have been a moment, it could have been minutes. I don't know. But then he stepped back, and he said, "It's going to be soon, Yuvonda. You're coming home soon." And when is soon? And then he's just
I
gone.
know.
And
It's like,
the tears just went, and I know it was several hours. The tears just flowed. It was so absolutely wonderful. It
oh
was
my
so
gosh.
wonderful.
How long ago was this?
Um, a little over a year ago. Yeah,
Gosh,
last year.
soon to higher dimensional beings and soon to us are two completely different
Well,
definitions.
I have repeatedly asked for them to define soon.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time I asked, they said, not as long as it has been. It's happening quickly.
So we don't
So,
have you much longer.
oh, I don't, oh, well, I think I'm going to, there quickly could be a decade or more, I don't know. I don't know. What I've been shown, I'm going to be here a long time.
Okay.
So
Okay,
that
good.
I'll be in one of the islands, and yeah, so, but we'll see. Things could
Okay.
change. Uh,
Dave Suderback. Dave, thank you so much for the show, the super chat. He's saying, great show tonight, Nicole. Love Yuvonda. Great interview. Thank you. Yeah, thanks, guys. This is a great, like, I'm just fascinated. I know I'm going to go back and listen to this tonight while I'm lying down because as me having to, like, ask all the questions and pay attention to the chat, I know I miss certain details and I just want to be able to absorb it all with my eyes closed. So, the lion beings, could you give us what can you share with us about the lion beings that would help educate all of us and the audience that might be really interesting details to know about that you've encountered?
um, they're fierce warriors. They're very fierce. The reptiles fear them. Um, but it's not malicious. They're not malicious warriors. Um, I don't know how to explain it. It's done with the power of love, and it is energy, and it is light. And yes, they do destroy some of them. Some of them are destroyed, but it's their choice because they don't choose the light, and they're given a choice.
Mm.
But they're very gentle. They're funny, very humorous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I recently found out that before I incarnated here on Earth, like my first incarnation on Earth, I was a lion being, and I chose to incarnate as reptilian to understand what they were all up to. And so it's interesting that the reptilians fear the lion beings. I must have been like, yeah, I got this. I can handle that, and I'm pretty sure I was in for a little bit of a rude awakening. But
Yeah.
From what I understand, that many of us do choose to incarnate through the reptilian race so that we can help heal it
Yes.
and all of that. Now, okay, let's talk about this because this is an interesting. I'm going to just share with you guys some information that came through on my Reiki session with Yuvonda yesterday because it can lead us into a really cool discussion that some of you in my alchemy program were talking about last week. And I know many of you in the audience probably have these questions as well. But when Yuvonda was opening up my session, I guess you were over the crown chakra, and my guidance team came in, and it was a very moving experience. Like as soon as you started crying, I started crying because I felt the love through you that you were picking up from them coming through. And you mentioned like 16th density of, I guess, did you say like where I've originated from or what?
Yes. That
Okay.
that you're from the 16th density,
Okay.
which
So,
is which is this universe, this Earth universe, the universe. My understanding is 12. Once you get beyond 12, you go higher.
into other universes.
Right. But there's no more form. It's a collective consciousness, kind of like the archangels are a collective consciousness. So,
Got you.
because
Oh,
what came in with you had no form. the energetic presence was there, but it was a consciousness presence. And it was extremely pure, extremely high vibe. And well, you felt the love. So as a Reiki practitioner, a lot of times I am a pressure cooker, release valve. So like if there's traumas or something that the person can't handle, it kind of goes through me. It doesn't stay in me, nothing, and I'll have the emotional release, the physical release. So then the client can take over, so it doesn't damage their system. But with you, it was just pure love. And the tears started flowing. I couldn't stop them. Could not stop them because I could feel it. And may I share your energy pattern?
Oh yeah, sure.
So everyone has a very unique energy signature. It's your calling card. Everyone is unique. I have never seen one. It's like a disco ball. It just glitters. It's a disco ball, but it depends on what she's thinking, I guess. But it gets larger and smaller. But yeah,
I like that. I like that my energy pattern or signature is a disco ball. I'm pretty down with that.
It's just awesome. And then I knew when you were going to call because your intent was, I'm going to call Yuvonda. And it was like, oh, there's the little glitter ball. And then the more action you took, the larger it got. So, yeah.
That's so funny. So I feel like my nickname Frolly Pop totally is in line with disco ball energy signature. Glitter ball. Yeah, maybe I need a glitter hat now. I don't know. But I thought that was super cute. I was really appreciative for you sharing that with me. But yeah, so when it
glitter energy, yes. Yeah.
Glitter energy, yeah. So so back to like the densities and stuff. So in this universe, there, from what you understand, and again, guys, there's no like book that we can read about this or anything like that. Like this is just the understanding that you have from what you've seen and the knowledge that you have, which I've got to say, given what we've heard now for the last hour, I'm more likely to believe you than not. Doesn't mean it's 100% truth, but I would tend to lean that way. So 12 densities in this universe, and if there is a being from one of those densities, they still hold a physical form. Is that what you're saying? Like they can still hold a physical form?
Yes. Just not as solid. The more solid, you have to go lower in density. Yes.
Okay.
But usually by 12th density, you can hold the shape, but you don't have a physical body. But you can form it. I've seen shapes of, figures like humanoid figures, but they were never solid. It was just energy that took a shape, probably so I could recognize. A lot of it is the observer or who they communicate with. They use what is familiar with you or with me to help me to recognize. But when yours came in, okay, so during a Reiki session, I always call in a divine team, and I got very specific criteria, so we're good. So when your divine team came in, so the divine team consists of, for the client themselves, right? The higher self, the oversoul, and straight to source. Nothing on the perimeter unless the higher self and the oversoul gives permission. So you have to go through, you got to go through some checklists before any of your relatives could come in and give you messages. Does it make sense? Otherwise, they'd be standing in line waiting for me to channel to give messages. And I said, no more to that. I'm done. You didn't do your job when you were here. You're not using me as a tool. And the only way I would do that is if my team says so.
You see that, guys? Yuvonda's got high standards.
Well, it's important because
I agree.
Everyone is precious and need protection, and they don't need outside influences. That's not what they need during a healing session. They need themselves, their higher self, their own soul, and straight to source, and connect to Gaia's heart. And if messages from the outside, whether it's family members, friends that have deceased or whatever, they want to give a message, not only do they have to go through the person, they also have oversoul, higher self, they have to go through mine, because they want to use me as the mouthpiece. And I don't always agree, because for various reasons, unless my team says so, it doesn't happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, if you have any questions that you'd like me to ask Yuvonda, go ahead and drop them in the chat. We're going to go into one more thing here, but while we do, if you have a question, you guys know the deal. Write question in cap locks and then what your question is. The question itself doesn't need to be in cap locks.
Thank you,
I just need to.
Mama Bear.
Yeah. I need to see the word question in cap locks, okay? So, you guys, if you watched my earlier video, I talked about energy cords and the importance of keeping your energy field clear, clean, how to practice spiritual hygiene, and some of the techniques I used. And Yuvonda brought up a really interesting piece of information to me later today that we wanted to share with you. About those who've passed on, like, I should say, when there is a couple and one partner passes on, what happens via the energy cords? Do you want to talk about that to the audience? Because that's very interesting.
Okay, so death is something to be celebrated, because it means that you have accomplished what you set forth to do. And that's amazing. You don't die until it's your time. I'm proof of that. This is how it is. But when you have a loved one, especially like older couples, they have energy cords, and they're agreed upon energy cords, usually based on long-term friendship and a love, whether, it's a love connection. A lot of times it's in the heart, but not always. I've seen them on the side, like a couple that's attached at the hip. You've heard that expression. That's usually where the cord is, So when one passes away, especially if it's suddenly, or they've been together a very long time, the cord is ripped from the surviving partner. And if that tear in that auric field is not sealed up so they can heal, you leak life force energy. And I know that people have seen older couples where one passes away and the survivor has been perfectly healthy, and then suddenly their health crashes and they die very soon after. They are leaking life force energy because their auric field was ripped open. The cord was so thick and so connected to their being that they had no opportunity to heal because they didn't know about it. These things aren't taught nowadays. In ancient days, they were taught. A lot of the Native Americans teach it too. That you have to heal the aura. So,
wow. Okay, so that's interesting. Okay, so just even you telling me that, I'll be really honest with you guys. When I shared with you all my practice that I do, and I use the golden energy to then seal up the aura where the tears or damage may have done from the cord cutting. That is not something that was ever taught to me. That is just something that I was like, oh, I should probably just do that. I guess it was just something that I knew, but I didn't know if I was actually correct or not. And just listening to you talk about it there's kind of a confirmation for me on how important that is when we're doing our cord cutting or clearing our fields to really patch up the aura and prevent any leakage like this. Clearly, a death is so traumatic to a partner
yes.
that it would be like a ripping of the cord.
So if a person has enough love within them, which means you got to have at least a spark, right? So if you just imagine, try the white light first, pure white light, which is love light, 100% love. And wherever you feel the loss, it could be anywhere in your body, but if it's a loved one, most often it's the heart. So imagine your hands are white light and cover the area or your heart, and imagine that light is literally sealing, sewing up the aura and it seals it smooth. And it will take, depending on the energetic health, which is basically the physical health too of the person, I think the minimum is, it's an odd number. It's like 27 days, yeah, before it's strong enough to handle energetic activities like conflict resolutions and things like that. Because if you engage in things like that too soon, it'll tear open, because your energetic field cannot handle shocks of vibration, high, low vibration. So the period of mourning years ago was literally to heal your auric field, so then you could actually go out and engage successfully with other people. Because if you're left unprotected, you go out, there's all kinds of energy vampires. I don't care how sick a person is that's losing the energy, these vampires will just feed off of it, and they will attack, and it just, your healing process basically stops, and then you begin to die, physically die. So that's, and when you cut cords, cut them, then release what's left. You can't just cut it and seal it off. Even though if you release it, it's still very easy to reconnect. But if you cut it, it's almost a guarantee. If you cut it and that's all you do, it's almost a guarantee it's going to reconnect.
Because that question came up, and because I don't know how much you were able to tune into the show, or if you even like heard the show earlier. Oh, okay. Yes. So when someone asked that, so this idea of cutting was brought up, of that it's maybe too aggressive, and I just felt like it was a more guarantee as well. What's your response to the cutting being aggressive?
I've done both. I don't recommend cutting the cord unless you have to cut the cord in order to get the strength to release it. There are times when that happens. This is mostly with an abuser or a sexual partner. That's where I've seen that, because the connection is so intense that if you don't cut it first, you're not going to have the emotional strength to release it, because that takes strength.
And what's your method of release? Like, I kind of just was shown like using like the salt water energy to dissolve dissolve the cord, so that it starts to just, I guess, disintegrate out of you, kind of.
Yes, and you have to send it away with love, and you have to do it in a state of love. It's not successful, because then it becomes anger, and then that's a low vibration, or fear, and that's a low vibration. So you have to, thank them. Your description was excellent. I would go further and literally take your hand and imagine yourself, feeling with light. After you have taken your hands, imagine they're light, and you have sealed up the wound or wounds. And then start bringing in the golden white light and fill in your body and fill in the layers of the aura. Don't go overboard, because remember, you just had surgery basically on your aura, and you have to be very careful. And especially with a sexual partner, you have to refrain from all contact for 11 days. And when you start thinking about them, you've got to change those thoughts, because those thoughts, cord will come right back. And all right, so there's a reason for the 11-day process. It changes your thought processing, your mind. You're able to let go, and it allows your wound to heal. Then you can be more resistant to them coming back in your life. This works really well with narcissists, and sometimes it's really hard to cut them off. And the narcissist connection, that's when it's most effective to cut it, call in Archangel Michael and your divine team, cut it, and get him to help remove it.
Okay.
And then get your divine team along with yourself. You have to participate. It's not I'm going to lay back and y'all do all the work. No, it doesn't work that way. And then you still have to seal it. That's what I found to be most effective.
Okay. Yeah. Wow, that's great. That's great advice. So, yeah, I think that helped clarify for the cutting and also how to release the cords. So, if it's just someone that it's not an abusive situation and there's no need to do the cutting, you can use the dissolving to release. And of course, yeah, when it's an abusive situation, whether it's emotionally abusive, mentally, physically, and spiritually, let's face it, we're experiencing that. Then don't feel scared to use that technique if need be. We've got some questions that have come in here. The first question from Divine Fractal: what color was the lion being? Did it have a messy mane or a very kept mane?
Kind of thick, curly, and wavy. It was just beautiful. I don't know, beautiful. It was probably about down to here. He was well kept. Yeah. It wasn't like a lion out on the range, that came in and then decided to be in human form. That wasn't it. This was a humanoid type being.
Okay. Yeah, because there are humanoid lion beings, and then there are more lioness lion beings, like the way we.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. This is from Nell. What do you think about not going to light when you die? Like not going to the light when you die?
I highly recommend it. I highly recommend avoiding the light. Do not go to the light. Go left. Go left. Go left. Yeah.
Okay. Because the light, from what I hear, is the return to the matrix. Like it's return to the karmic cycle.
Yes.
Okay.
And they trick you. They will bring out family images. They make you think your family is there welcoming you in. And they will lure you in. They won't tell you anything. It's a lure. They know how to imitate your deceased family, and they imitate them. And then they'll get you to just walk on. It took me a long time to figure that out. And then once I figured it out, multiple times.
How many deaths did it take for you to figure that out?
Actually, I think it was by the fifth one. Seriously. Okay. By the third one, I knew things were wrong. Things were wrong. But then I wasn't there for very long. And some of the deaths I was there longer than other times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great question.
Do not go to the light. Go left. Go left.
Okay.
And so another very important thing. Right now, ask your divine team, your family, whenever you do pass away, to be ready and waiting to come collect you. Okay. You give them permission to collect you. That way, the dark ones cannot come in and supersede that. You've already set your declarations. If they do that, it's a universal law. They're not supposed to. So I think after so many times, they can be taken care of and taken out. Problem solved. But you set you declare it. And you ask them and then declare it. So it's set. And they will be there.
Okay. So everyone tonight, make your declaration. That's great. That's great advice. I did not hear that before. Okay, from Maz P. Yuvonda, so you can read people's energy signatures. How do you do that?
It's like seeing someone's face, Yeah. You just recognize it. So it's the same as thought patterns. And I'm sure everyone has recognized certain thought patterns, not just by the look on someone's face, but you know what they're thinking because you can feel it, because it feels the same as someone else that thought this and someone else thought this. So everything has a particular pattern. And then, it's like recognizing faces. But it's energy.
Yeah.
It is literally energy. Okay. And you know right away whether or not it's a high vibe or a low vibe.
And was this something that became easier and easier the more you loved yourself?
No, not really. After the 94 accident, whatever gifts I had just
turned on,
blew up exponentially. Yes.
Okay.
I had to turn them turn them down a lot,
Okay.
or I probably wouldn't have been sane.
Okay. Okay. Um, okay, from Chef Matt. Hey Yuvonda, much love, my friend. Wondering if you could tell the story of my ord in my dream, or orb, or maybe that's an orb in his dream.
Oh, so Brooklyn, um, asked if I would send some prayers. So I did. And I was guided to also send some healing energy. So I sent some distance Reiki. Yeah. And so whenever I practice Reiki, whether it's by distance or in person, I always call in my divine team, and to protect the Reiki that I'm sending, the path all the way to the person, and the person while they're receiving it. So that orb may have been one of mine.
Okay. All right. Um, Wise Mama Bear. Yuvonda, would you be willing to tell us about your beautiful paintings behind you, please?
Oh, okay. So this one, I call it Fire in the Sea, Fire Under the Sea, something like that. It's textured, it's mixed media, modeling paste, and it's got gold. And um, so this painting, I saw an underwater view off the coast of one of the islands in Florida, of the lava going underneath the water. And it was like there was a wall of cold, and then the heated water, and then the lava was splitting open, and it was like gold shining through. So that's what I tried to create. I just thought it was absolutely beautiful, and I loved it. So it took me a while, but I think I got it.
Oh, very interesting.
So this one is just a nebula. I just did that. Um, yeah, that's, yeah. So, you know,
Okay. All right.
different
Thank
way.
you.
Yeah.
I love you're like, it's just a nebula. Okay.
Well, it is.
Oh, Cormac, a question. Yuvonda, can you come into our Discord, please? I'll bring her in, guys. Okay. Let me see here. Any other questions? Okay.
Oh,
From, oh, wait, I just lost it. Wait, where did it go?
oh, the paintings are for sale.
Oh, the
So,
paintings are for sale?
yes,
Oh,
I sell
okay.
them. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Oh, that's good to know. Okay, so people, you can reach out to her. All of her links are in the description below, and I guess they can contact you either through Facebook, Instagram, or the website, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me
I'm
see.
on Telegram.
Okay. Oh, yes, and she's on Telegram. I know it. There was another one here. I just missed it. Okay, what do you think about not going to the light when you die? I read that one. Oh, yeah, from Geert. Can Reiki work remotely via YouTube? There's an ASMR Reiki channel I watch and really feel the power.
Yes.
Yeah.
Reiki knows no time or space. It is intention. Intention is everything.
Okay. And then there was another one here. Did the praying mantis leave any residue on your body?
I don't know if it was breath or what was coming. It was emitting, but my skin smelled. My hair smelled. I had to take a shower. Is
Ugh.
that? No, it was slimy. I felt slimy.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then I took all the covers off my bed and washed everything.
Okay, so this question just sparked one that I wanted to ask you on the air, because when I had my bilocation teleportation
Mm-hmm.
experience, and you know, you talked about plasma, and that there's a
Oh,
plasma in the body. I guess in the body when experience like that happens. Can you talk about a little more about what you were talking about there?
yeah. Trying to think how to explain it. Um, I don't exactly know how it works, but the body has plasma. You have to have plenty of protein to create the plasma to be healthy. So you have to have protein, right? if you start doing astro traveling and you start having off-world experiences, you really got to up your protein, because you won't have enough plasma and you're going to get wiped out afterwards. But when you come back, you can literally be glowing, because the plasma from your body, from the different locations and things, activates it. You have to have the plasma to move through things and still be alive. So it's kind of like a protection too. I've done it several times, and I know it was plasma burning that I have come back from being off planet, and I'm literally on fire. There's been times when I could touch something and it would burn because of it, but I wasn't hot. I didn't burn myself.
You just burned the thing you touched.
I burnt my bed comforter. Yeah, my duvet cover. I burnt it, and I'm jumping out of bed. It's like, shh, turn the water on, because my hands were on fire.
Yeah, and so like the night before, I was doing the all signs tarot reading, and I remember, I think it was during fire signs, I was like, why does my butt feel like it's on fire? And you thought, oh, she's about to go somewhere.
I started laughing. I was like, yay, Nicole's going somewhere. Okay, so the benevolent beings, they give you a heads up. You know it's going to happen. The nefarious ones, nope, you don't know squat until it's done. So
okay, so if I feel my butt on fire again, I'll know.
You'll know.
Okay, good to know. That's funny.
Okay, that's been my experience.
Yeah.
It may not be the same for everyone else, but that's what I've noticed.
All right. And so this brings up another question too, of understanding the importance of eating protein in our diets, which to me, I feel like our dietary system has been hijacked in so many different ways with so many different diets. And, you know, are you vegan, vegetarian, or do you eat meat? And what has been your experience when it comes to being able to hold higher levels of energy? Because there's so many different things that are being claimed out there. What is your understanding that's so important for us to know from your point of view in where we get our protein and why we need it so much?
Okay, so amino acids, which is a form of protein, it is protein, very essential for so much. Also DNA. If you don't have enough protein, your DNA is not going to function, because it is part of your neurological system. Without protein, it's not going to work. The more you, I firmly believe the absolute full-blown vegan, nothing but green, forget the protein stuff, is an attack from the New Age movement, which is not in our best interest, to take the protein away so our DNA will not activate. They attack us from all angles, from every perspective. You have to have protein. If you don't have protein, your brain's not going to work right. Your DNA is not going to work right. Your heart's not going to work right. You have to have protein. Doesn't mean you have to have red meat, but we are human beings. We have to have food. We have not ascended enough to live off things other than, the things we grow or different animals. And I have tried not eating meat, and I got sick. I cannot do it. I have tried and tried and tried. I have to have meat, and I have to have red meat. I get sick.
I'm the same way. I went vegetarian. I didn't go vegan, but I went vegetarian for a couple of years. But I did it with the caveat, if I ever feel like I need to eat meat, I will. Like I wasn't like a hardcore, like I won't do it, sticking to my guns. And because that personally just didn't feel right for me. And I'm not trying to knock anyone who does that. Because I think we all do what we need to on our own journey, and we get to where we need. So I'm not knocking anyone out there who's vegan or vegetarian. Like, this is not a knock on that. However, I did realize that there came a point where I was like, I need meat. And the more I started to activate my intuitive gifts, I realized I actually crave it more. And I thought it was so interesting, because it was the opposite of what you hear from different, I guess, spiritual sources, channels, like what, and it just realizing how important the protein is, and not saying that, everyone's got to live by their own code. and you've got to do what feels right for you. And I think that's all that matters. So, but for me, it really I started to understand the importance of getting enough protein. And I could tell when my energy levels were down, or I could just tell when I was getting more downloads and being able to channel more. Like I just, yeah.
You can get protein in our, plant foods, nuts, and
Yes.
things like that. You absolutely can. You just got to eat a whole lot.
Yeah, I
And
know
you really
you do.
need to. You have to. But it doesn't.
You have to be very smart to
Yes.
get the
Yes.
protein
Yes.
vegetarian.
Yes. But it's very important. It's very important. Basically, if you don't have protein, your DNA is going to fail.
Okay. All right. And considering, let's just off that statement alone, if we know that our DNA is the reason why we're in a prison planet right now, and that is the very thing that is being coveted of us, just take note of that, guys. Okay. Okay. So let me just see if there are any other questions before we sign off here. Let me just see. I don't see any other questions. But yeah, okay, so this has been great. Yuvonda, this is like one of my favorite shows that I've done in a really long time because,
Oh, thank you.
well, who doesn't love a good reptilian story? I mean,
I don't recommend them. I do not recommend them.
no,
They
no.
I did not call them in. It just happened. But the one in the marsh, I knew something was up, and I probably, I could have left, but I chose not to because I'm a little stubborn, and it was my time to walk, and I only had a certain amount of time, and I wasn't going anywhere else. So, yeah.
Yeah, and guys, for all of you, before we started the show, just so you know, we did a little meditation and using Nikola Tesla frequencies. We had one other person here with us, one of the mods in the in the chat there, and we put out the intention. Speaking of DNA, I mean, this is perfect. My intention for all of you who are listening through Yuvonda's Reiki that she's gifted to all of us. I didn't let you all know that at the beginning, but we're going to let you know that it was to awaken the DNA within you, that you're ready to awaken to activate more of that, to activate the higher DNA codes that you're holding right now. So re-listen to this maybe another time if you want more of the information to soak in. And just know that that is the energy that we had the intent of putting through tonight's show. So Yuvonda, let the audience know what services you offer and how they can get in contact with you.
Okay, so I offer Reiki at a distance. I also sell my art, my paintings. You can get a hold of me on Telegram. It's at Yuvonda. Instagram's at Yuvonda. Facebook is Yuvonda Wells. I have an art page, Yuvonda's Fine Art on Facebook. Yuvonda Wells at gmail.com or Yuvonda at protonmail.com. Yeah.
Perfect. So I think you're going to get a flood of requests after tonight because there are a lot of people in the audience who are like, I want to book with Yuvonda. So I highly suggest it. And guys, just thanks so much for being here. Your energy was much appreciated and felt. Love you guys so much. Yuvonda, thanks so much for being here. Guys, have a wonderful evening. And remember to love yourself. Keep building the love frequency within you. You'll continue activating your DNA even further and turn on those gifts. I love you guys. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll be back with you real soon.